Good afternoon to all our listeners and viewers of the NDC Heartbeat podcast. We're happy to welcome all those who are listening on radio via WeFM, Vibes FM, Spice Capital Radio. We've got 100.5 FM out of Labby in Grenville. We also have Rampoon Radio out of Delaware in the United States, and other stations picking up the heartbeat on a Sunday afternoon. Welcome also to those listening or those viewing on the NDC Facebook platform and also on the NDC YouTube platform. Welcome to another NDC episode for another beautiful Sunday afternoon in Grenada. What we're going to be doing today, we're going to be sharing with you a conversation which I had held with Senator the Honorable Sybil Francis. She is responsible for youth and sports, and we'll be talking extensively about what's happening in her ministry. And also she will be sharing with us what's happening with the NDC Youth Convention taking place on April 26th at Progress Park. The NDC Youth Convention and Rally will be held there. Especially don't miss the rally, which starts off at 3 o'clock on April 26th. So look forward to seeing you there. Then we'll be sharing with you a post-cabinet briefing, updates on roads and infrastructure projects by the Honorable Prime Minister. He also has responsibility for works. The Permanent Secretary and others is on that briefing. So very important information, updates on roads and infrastructure projects, which I'm sure you're quite interested to learn about. So that will be your program for today. So stay tuned. Back with you in a moment.
It's a celebration of all things Grenadian. Showcase Grenada Exhibition 2026, Sunday, April 12th, 1 p.m. to midnight. Presented by the Grenada Independence Planning Committee in collaboration with the Consulate General of Grenada in Toronto. Hosted by Fatman George. This exciting event features live performances from renowned artists like Talpri.
Welcome to the Job Nation. It's not your imagination.
And Alma Boy, alongside other various artists: Kenny C, Michael Brown, PJP, 473 Odie, Leon Spice, Hudson George, Corey Ross, and Tessa Ann. It's happening at the JCA, 995 Arrow Road, North York, Ontario. Indulge your taste buds with authentic Grenadian food, including the famous oil down, fresh produce, spices, and more. Enjoy thrilling entertainment from steel pan music, drumming, dancing by the Spice Isle dancers, and traditional mass performances like shotney, plus poetry and comedy. Families are welcome. There are plenty of activities for children to enjoy. Explore booths from local vendors and learn about tourism, investment, and trade opportunities in Grenada. It's only $10 for adults. Children 12 and up, $5. Children under 12, absolutely free. This event is made possible by our sponsors: the Grenada Tourism Authority, Sheridan Cyrus Dentistry, the Caribbean Camera, Six Senses Lasajet, Kalinago Beach Resort, Lux Modern Residential Living, HBBS Auto and Equipment Leasing, Gem FM, Mr. Lawnmower, and Ride Go. Don't miss out on this vibrant cultural showcase. Mark your calendars and join us for a day filled with joy, culture, and community at Showcase Grenada Exhibition 2026. Everything Grenadian.
On Saturday, May 16th, Brooklyn will come alive with live acoustic performances from some of Grenada's top local acts, setting the stage for an evening that celebrates culture, cuisine, and community. Set in an atmosphere of refined elegance, guests will enjoy a curated Caribbean culinary experience. The evening will also feature a special keynote address by the Honorable Dickon Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada. This premier fundraising affair promises an unforgettable experience where flavor, music, and purpose come together for a truly meaningful evening. Tickets are available now on GoToFate and Eventbrite. Secure yours early and be part of an extraordinary night. Spice Indulgence, an evening of heritage, connection, and impact.
Good afternoon, Senator Sybil Francis. It's great to have you on the Heartbeat once again. Welcome, and it's great having you.
Good afternoon, Terry, and thank you so much for having me. It is always a pleasure to come in and speak with you and to update the people about what's happening as it relates to youth in the beautiful island of Grenada.
Great. right. Thank you very much. You have an awesome responsibility, Senator, responsible for youth and sports. And I must also add that we have upcoming at the party level a youth convention. So we'll be chatting about that and chatting about what's happening in your ministry and how things are progressing with youth generally in Grenada. So
Sure.
let us start off first of all. Tell us what's happening in your ministry under your portfolio and how things are progressing.
All right. Well, thank you so much again for having me. And there's a lot happening. Unfortunately, our ministry is not one of those ministries where what you see are the infrastructural work, so the big buildings going up. But what is happening in our ministry, something that I'm super proud of, is the fact that we are taking the time to build a human capital of our country through our young people, particularly. Too often we have the tokenism approach to youth where we say, youth are the future. We need their voices. We're giving them a seat at the table. But sometimes, or what we've seen in the past is that, yes, the opportunities might have been there, but there has been a tape over the mouths of our young people. And so we have established that we're no longer having that tokenism approach to youth and youth participation and youth development in the country. So our focus primarily for the past year, for the past couple of months rather, and with heavy emphasis for the first quarter of this year, has been on the national youth policy. And it's something that we had drafted many years ago. And when I say we, I'm not necessarily speaking about this administration, but as we know, government is a continuum. And yes, there was a national youth policy drafted, but it was never ratified. It never came into existence so that our young people can actually benefit from what that policy had in place for it. Terry, I can tell you that I have taken an in-depth dive into that national youth policy draft that has been in existence and has expired for so long. And I can tell you it is a policy of yesteryear. Three-quarters of that policy is no longer even applicable to the present reality that our young people are facing. And so we are ensuring that that national youth policy comes into effect this year. We have a team in place who is strategically reviewing, revising. We have done cross-ministry mapping to ensure that we know what the policies and the gaps that exist throughout central government for our young people to ensure that every aspect that affects the lives of young people is reached and targeted in that national youth policy. So right now we have a national youth policy survey that is out. The deadline was the 30th of March, and we have since extended that because some of the young people came out and said, hey, we did not get a chance to complete it. So we have extended the deadline to ensure that at least every young person who wants to lend their voice to support what the future holds in store for them is heard. And so the youth policy survey, as I said, is out now. It's very accessible. It's just a click with a link on your phone or whatever device you feel comfortable. It takes just less than 15 minutes to complete. It is very comprehensive. It is anonymous, so young people do not have to be afraid because there are no identification markers to say, well, Seville completed this form and, we would flag it and those kinds of things. We wanted our young people to be comfortable in lending their voice. We know from time to time we hear about the call for consultations, but Terry, just as we are evolving beings, we have to evolve with the time. Consultations does not necessarily have to be in a community center, in a school or so. That is a form of consultation because this is where our young people live through technology, and so we are reaching them through that mechanism to ensure that their voice is aptly heard through and in recognized in the national youth policy that we have upcoming. So that's one of the major flagship things that we are ensuring is happening for 2026.
Great, fantastic. Now the way forward,
Mhm.
in addition to the benefits that you have indicated, what would you say is the highlight of this new policy agenda for youth, in your opinion?
Well, one of the things that was missing terribly was innovation and digitalization. We live in a digital world, and the youth policy does not, the existing draft policy, I should say, did not really take any of those things into consideration. And that's one of the main things that we have to ensure because we live in a digital world. So how can a policy that affects young people not take into account the reality of what our young people are dealing with? So that's one of the major shifts. Another shift is the innovation and entrepreneurial aspect of things. We want to make sure that our young people get those opportunities to become first-hand developers and implementers of what happens in our country. And as you know, also just to segue a bit before I come back, we have the Youth Empowerment Agency, something that we're working on very much rapidly to ensure that our young people are the architects of our economy. We cannot leave them behind. The reality is, Terry, our young people are brilliant. I am marveled at some of the innovative ideas and suggestions and solutions that our young people bring to the table for some of the challenges that we face in our society. And so that is one of the key things that our national youth policy will be taken into account to ensure that our young people have the resources and the opportunities that they need to be equal contributors to our society.
Great. Well, that's fantastic indeed. And how soon do you think that this new policy will be, let's say, enacted or approved?
I I could say, but I do not want to give a definite timeline. But what I can tell you is that it is definitely going to be enacted before the end of this year. We are working uh, very quickly to ensure that it is done before the second quarter. But in those kinds of things, sometimes you have to go back to the drawing board based on the information that we receive coming out of the National Youth Policy Survey and so on. There may be things that we did not take into account that we now have to go back to the drawing board to address and so on. So we are leaving just a little wiggle room to ensure that if needs be, we have to go back to the drawing board when it comes to certain things, that we have that space. But we are working to ensure that it is done before the second quarter of this year is over.
Great, fantastic. Well, congratulations in advance. And
Thank you.
now the National Democratic Congress Party has a major youth event coming up pretty soon. Can you share with us some of the data on that?
Yes, so we are having our National Youth Rally and Convention, or Convention and Rally, and that is happening on the 26th of April at the Cuthbert Peters Park. It is an opportunity for our young people to come out in their numbers, to be a part of change. Too long we've been asking for changes, and we now have the opportunities. No longer should or would our young people have to feel victimized or threatened to step to the plate. There was one point, Terry, where I felt like if I fully came out and say I am a supporter of the NDC party, that I would have been victimized. But when I think about the country that I want to live in and the changes that I wanted to see, I stood like the brave, just like those who fought before us, to ensure that young people have a voice. Young people matters. And so this is an opportunity for young people to come out and say, I am taking a bold stand in what is happening with my country and the direction of my country. So this is a call to action for our young people to come out in their numbers. You can reach out to your different constituency offices, the party offices, your polling divisions. Shoot us a message on Facebook. Most of the constituencies, they do have Facebook and Instagram pages. Shoot a message, find out which polling division you belong to, which constituency you belong to, and find out the information. We have buses available. The morning period will be closed for the convention aspect of things, the party elections, youth elections, and so on. But the evening time, we will have some of our brilliant speakers. Our newly elected chairperson will be announced, and you will also get a chance to hear from them. But you know that when it comes to our party, it's not just about fun. It's also about fun, but making sure that the fun comes with productive action. So you will be hearing from myself. I will be one of the persons on the platform, along with our other youth MPs, because we are showing our young people that we are taking a stance as young people and we want them to join us. We are taking one for the team, Terry, to say, as a young person, we have the voice to make that difference. So I'm calling all young people out there to come out in your numbers, to be there to support, because some of the things that I mentioned, for example, the national youth policy and so on, those are some of the things as a party administration we are addressing to make sure that you have the opportunities that you deserve. So we are encouraging you to come out and support us in your numbers, buses, vans, flags. Nobody's saying that you absolutely have to wear a yellow t-shirt, a party t-shirt, but your presence matters. Come out and hear firsthand, because we know, Terry, we know that there are persons out there who's trying to confuse our young people. So we want you to hear it from the horse's mouth. We don't want you to see snippets of what they copy and paste on social media and so on. We want you to hear it live and direct. The context will always be key. So come out in your numbers.
Great. And what's the location for this massive event?
Cuthbert Peters Park.
So it's Cuthbert Peters Park on the
Yes.
26th of
The
April.
26th of April.
And starting what time?
We have the closed door session that is happening in the morning period. And then we have the rally and the rally aspect of things happening from 3 p.m. So from 3 p.m., we have that. So you can come out, as I said, reach out to your different constituency offices to ensure that you get transportation to be there and to get back home safely.
Okay, and transportation will be mobilized by the party office.
By the party office. And we do have some more information. So we are also encouraging you to stay tuned to our different pages to get the accurate information, as we provide more updates as we get closer to the time.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Senator Seville. Any closing remarks?
Well, as I mentioned before, I'll just take this opportunity to say that we are indeed doing a lot of things for our young people. I know I did speak about what is our main focus right now at the Ministry of Youth perspective, but I also want to take this opportunity to say to our young people that the Ministry of Youth is a service-oriented hub right now for you, but across central government, there are multiple opportunities that this government, this administration is doing to ensure that youth get opportunities. Terry, this is the first time in history. I just said that and I got goosebumps, because this is the first time in my 30 plus years of life that I've ever seen scholarship opportunities laugh and cut like that. Scholarship used to be a thing where who got the opportunities. Right now, you have opportunities left, right, and center as it relates to education, as it relates to opportunities as well. This is the administration that ensure that the different statutory boards and so on that exist, one seat at least minimum is reserved so that our young people can be a part of the decision making processes that happens across our country. We also have right now in the Ministry of Youth, the Youth in Business program, where you can get loan with 1% interest loan up to $30,000 through GDP. And we also have a grant opportunities with a maximum of $3,000 for incubation purposes. So if you want to test your business ideas, you want to register your business, we have grants up to $3,000 that you don't have to pay back. We have the Grenada Office of Creative Affairs, where our young creatives now have the opportunity to do so many things there. You have free tuition. Not free tuition start and stop. We have free tuition. No longer are our young people only depending on the Imani program as a means of survival. We have multiple opportunities. Even our Imani trainees that the other persons are pushing, Terry, that is now becoming a thing of the past, where we have all of our young trainees, I'm not young because some of the persons have gone past the age of 35 being an Imani trainee in the program for so long. Now we have our Imani trainees. Well, I can't even call them Imani trainees anymore because happy am I to announce that they have now all of the trainees in the private sector are now fully employed persons in the private sector. And that is something that is commendable. We are saying to our young people that you were told if you're an Imani trainee, you're being sent home once we come into office. And we have proven differently. We have proven that we care about our young people and we're not using scare tactics. But we are ensuring now that a young person who was considered an Imani trainee for so long can now take a letter and go to a lending institution and say, hey, I want to own something. I want to own a car. I want to own a piece of land. Now they are legit. They're no longer considered trainees. Those in the public sector and at the state-owned enterprises, right now, we are working with the Department of Public Administration where we're ensuring that they become part of the regularization process. We're undergoing the evaluation process to make sure that they're up to speed, they have all the documentation and everything that is necessary so that they can become full-fledged members. Right now, also, we just had 40 of our Imani trainees who were in the school system as coaches. They are now fully regularized persons in the public service. And I'm saying that if this is not a sign that this is a government and an administration that cares about our young people, then I don't know what it is, Terry. There's so many other things that I can talk about when it comes to young people and the opportunities that exist across central government. But I am encouraging you to come to the Cuthbert Peters Park on the 26th of April to hear live and direct, straight from the horse's mouth, some of the opportunities that exist. And also, look at how many young people are now even getting assistance with housing and so on. Look at how many young people we have been working with lending institutions like Ariza and these places to ensure that we have interest rates that does not break the pockets of our young people, but now they're getting an opportunity to say, I am owning something, I belong, I matter. This is the country that I want to build and live in and not run away from, Terry. So many things are happening for our young people. The future of our country is really, 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 really bright. And I'm proud to be one of the persons ensuring that this is happening for our young people. And Terry, all I would say is that if I had to sum up everything that I would say about this administration and its love and care for our young people, I would say that this administration is creating the framework and philosophy for youth success. And the responsibility now is ensuring that every young person can actually feel and access it in their daily lives. And that is what we're doing as relates to our young people in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Senator Seville. It was really great chatting with you, getting all these updates, and catch up with you very soon. Don't
Sure,
forget
thank you so much.
the heartbeat is always there, and happy to have you any other time.
Thank you so much, Terry, and I look forward to seeing you on the 26th of April as well at Cuthbert Peters Park, interacting with our young people, getting the interviews live and direct, hearing it from our young people, how they feel about this administration. And I can tell you they're very vocal and proud about what this country looks like now under this administration.
Well, I'll be putting them to the test.
For sure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much. Been a pleasure indeed.
All right, take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Yes.
On Saturday, May 16th, Brooklyn will come alive with live acoustic performances from some of Grenada's top local acts, setting the stage for an evening that celebrates culture, cuisine, and community. Set in an atmosphere of refined elegance, guests will enjoy a curated Caribbean culinary experience. The evening will also feature a special keynote address by the Honorable Dickon Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada. This premier fundraising affair promises an unforgettable experience where flavor, music, and purpose come together for a truly meaningful evening. Tickets are available now on GoToFate and Eventbrite. Secure yours early and be part of an extraordinary night. Spice Indulgence, an evening of heritage, connection, and impact.
It's a celebration of all things Grenadian. Showcase Grenada Exhibition 2026, Sunday, April 12th, 1 p.m. to midnight.
Any chance you see I get, I go in Grenada.
Presented by the Grenada Independence Planning Committee in collaboration with the Consulate General of Grenada in Toronto. Hosted by Fatman George, this exciting event features live performances from renowned artists like Talpri.
Welcome to the Job Nation. It's not your imagination.
And Alma Boy, alongside other various artists: Kenny C, Michael Brown, PJP, 473 Odie, Leon Spice, Hudson George, Corey Ross, and Tessa Ann. It's happening at the JCA, 995 Arrow Road, North York, Ontario. Indulge your taste buds with authentic Grenadian food, including the famous oil down, fresh produce, spices, and more. Enjoy thrilling entertainment from steel pan music, drumming, dancing by the Spice Isle dancers, and traditional mass performances like shotney, plus poetry and comedy. Families are welcome. There are plenty of activities for children to enjoy. Explore booths from local vendors and learn about tourism, investment, and trade opportunities in Grenada. It's only $10 for adults. Children 12 and up, $5. Children under 12, absolutely free. This event is made possible by our sponsors: the Grenada Tourism Authority, Sheridan Cyrus Dentistry, the Caribbean Camera, Six Senses Lasajet, Kalinago Beach Resort, Lux Modern Residential Living, HBBS Auto and Equipment Leasing, Gem FM, Mr. Lawnmower, and Ride Go. Don't miss out on this vibrant cultural showcase. Mark your calendars and join us for a day filled with joy, culture, and community at Showcase Grenada Exhibition 2026. Everything Grenadian.
Today we are pleased to provide updates on several major infrastructure projects currently underway across the country, which form part of the government's ongoing commitment to providing and improving road safety, strengthening resilience, and enhancing public facilities for all Grenadians. We will outline updates and progress to date, address challenges encountered, and share timelines for completion as we continue to deliver critical development projects in a transparent and accountable manner. This morning, I am joined by Prime Minister, the Honorable Deacon Mitchell, Prime Minister and Minister for Infrastructure, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Infrastructure, Mr. Alva Brown, and of course, our Chief Technical Officer, Mr. Kimon Andrews. This morning, we begin with Prime Minister and Minister for Infrastructure, the Honorable Deacon Mitchell. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Secretary, and pleasant morning to members of the media who are here with us in person and those who are joining us online, and a pleasant morning to the citizens of Grenada. I will provide updates on some of the infrastructure projects that the Ministry of Infrastructure is working on. I'm emphasizing some because it's quite an exhaustive, it is not meant to be an exhaustive list, and the number of things that we are working on are quite extensive. In the interest of time, we will only highlight some of them, but certainly going forward, we will continue to provide updates to the public and continue to expand the list of projects so that we can inform the public as to how we are progressing with them. So naturally, I will start with the Cliff Road project. As many of you know, this project has been delayed substantially beyond the original completion date. We still have delays. We expect that the road will become motorable, however, during or by the end of this month, and for the additional surrounding works to be completed by the end of May. I think if you visit the site, you'd see that, I would say finally, there has been substantial progress on the work, and so we are optimistic that during this month the road will become motorable, but there are additional completion works which will probably take us into the month of May. In relation to Closure, which is the major landslip that we had in Closure, we also had to stop the work because the original work was for retaining walls and for roadworks. After the landslip, it meant a major redesign of the project. The redesigns have been now completed as of March. Negotiations are now commencing with the contractor because obviously with the redesign, it means the scope of works have now changed and have expanded, and therefore the bills of quantities as well as the actual final price for the contract will also change. We expect, however, that as early as within a week or two, the contractor should be able to mobilize and go back on the site to continue work at Closure. Willis Road Rehabilitation, this project was substantially delayed. In fact, it was a project that was originally part of the Feeder Roads program, where as many as 10 roads and bridges were awarded to a single construction company. The long and short of it is the construction company was not able to deliver on several of these roads. As a result, the work stopped. We tried to engage local contractors to do the work. We in fact brought together 3 local firms. Unfortunately, out of last year, the main principal behind one of the firms and perhaps the main driver behind the consortium, unfortunately he died, and as a result we had to start the process again. But we've finally been able to move the project. A contract has been signed with Construction and Industrial Equipment Limited, or more popularly known as RENO. The contract sum is around $21 million. Work has already started. If you go to the site, you will see that there's significant work taking place there now, and we expect the road to be completed by the end of 2026. Seamoon Cultural Center, the work there is ongoing, and we expect it to be completed by the end of the second quarter, that is June of 2026. Snell Hall, about 80% of the concrete abutments are complete. We expect the remaining works to be completed by June of 2026. The Sutter's Coastal Protection or Breakwater Project, that's a major project to try and save the coast in St. Patrick. The project is a Caribbean Development Bank funded project. Environmental and social impact assessment has been done, but as part of that process for final approval, this has to be presented to the public. We have to engage with the residents and the public, and after that is done, we should then be able to get final planning approval to proceed. In the meantime, some of the key personnel, the project manager, the social safeguards, monitoring and evaluation specialists have been identified, and we are working on the contracts to have them completed. We are optimistic that work should be able to commence in June, but we recognize that because of the damage being done to the coastline in St. Patrick, particularly the Mount Rodney area, that we can't wait on the main breakwater project itself. So the ministry has mobilized a contractor, and the CTA will probably give the appropriate terminology for what is taking place there, but essentially stonework is taking place to begin to start protecting the residents of Mount Rodney. I'm sure you're aware we've lost substantial coastline there already. The water in many instances are beneath people's homes, and in the past I think some people had to be evacuated. So we are certainly taking interim measures to try and continue protecting the Mount Rodney area. The St. John's River Road project, this project, there were certain phases that were complete. There are certain phases that are yet to be completed. One such phase is the road itself, the road rehabilitation. This has not yet taken place. We are hoping to get this done in the second quarter of 2026. The challenge we have in Grenada with road repairs, and we'll come to that in a broader discussion, is that we, frankly, up until recently, only had one contractor, a local contractor, who could do asphalt work. That contractor also controls the quarry where the aggregates are produced, and therefore, from a capacity point of view, the country has had very limited capacity to do asphalt work. In more recent times, we have, partly because of the finance, design and build program that we are launching for some of the major roads, we have a couple other potential contractors who have the capacity to do asphalt work. And so we are hoping that, all things being equal with that, we can have the road repaved in hopefully the second quarter of 2026 in River Road. The Penmutter to Vincent's Road, work is ongoing there. Currently, the site is being prepared for asphalt works to be done. This road, most of the drains, culverts, retaining walls were done by small Grenadian contractors along the entire length of the road, most of them from St. David. And we are seeking, hopefully, to be able to extend that model throughout the length and breadth of Grenada, where some of the smaller contractors can take part in the civil works aspect of the road repairs and maintenance, and then we can perhaps have larger contractors to come in and do the asphalting. So the surface scraping has already taken place. The milling of the asphalt pavement is ongoing, and then the installation of the actual asphalt will follow. And key, we are also going to be applying, I'm going to use the word here, proper thermoplastic pavement markings, the yellow and white ones. What Grenada has been doing is frankly using regular paint to paint roads, to paint abutments and sidewalks, which essentially cannot stand the harsh weather conditions, and oftentimes within 6 months, either rainy season or dry season, it disappears. So we intend to raise the standards and make sure that proper road markings are installed as whenever we are repairing or installing new roads. So this is ongoing, and we certainly invite members of the media to go up and capture the work that is taking place. That road has not been repaired in my lifetime, and I suspect generations before me, neither widened nor repaired to any substantial degree. So this is major for the residents there. The Woolwich Road, the designs are complete. Requests for bids from contractors have been publicized on the procurement website. And I just want to take a moment here to emphasize this, because many times people are saying they are not aware that persons have been invited to bid on government projects. The Central Procurement Unit has a website where all major requests for proposals, or expressions of interest, or requests to bid on government contracts, particularly the Ministry of Infrastructure, is posted on the procurement website. So we want to encourage people to use the website, to go on and to see what they can bid on, and particularly to encourage some of the local contractors who, even if they may not have the individual capacity, they can certainly engage in joint procurement or joint bids. They can do partnerships, they can do joint ventures where they can combine their capacities to be able to bid on some of the larger projects. So the bids are out. The project is for demolition and reconstruction of the retaining walls, the storm drains, the cross culverts, and reinstating the road. I'm sure if you're familiar with the Woolwich Road, you will recognize that it's a serious safety risk to the public and to the residents in the area, and so we would want to encourage contractors to please bid on the project. Unfortunately, the deadline for the bids is 2 days from now, the 3rd of April, but it has been up for a while, so we hope contractors bid. There are additional new roadworks that we intend to focus on. As we said, this is part of our finance, design, and build model, which means the contractors are going to be required to pay for the works up front without getting government funding, and after the works are complete, then we repay them. So the package means they have to be able to find the financing, they have to design the roads, we approve the designs, and then they have to build them. And after the construction is completed, then the government pays back over a period of time. And we are doing so deliberately also because we want to be able to manage the government's cash flow, because there are a lot of infrastructure work taking place all over the island. So the main packages that are completed insofar as the contracts are being awarded. The first would be from the Cliff Junction to the Morris Bishop Highway, and from the Eastern Main Road, Cliff Junction to Westall Point. The package has been finalized. The contractor is in the final stage of mobilization, and work is expected to begin by the second quarter, June of 2026, and that contractor is a Trinidadian firm known as Namalco. The second package is the Mabuya landslip in St. John, and from the Tempe roundabout, or the Decoy roundabout, to the Mount Kuma intersection. That package is also finalized, and work is also expected to begin in the second quarter of 2026. That's June of 2026, after the Nawasa G Cruise project is completed, because obviously pipeline is taking place in some parts of the area where the project will apply to, and the contractor there is Construction and Industrial Equipment Limited, or more particularly known as Reno. The third package, which we are working on to finalize, is from the Old Westall, New Westall, St. David's Eastern Main Road to the St. Paul's Police Station. So that's Old Westall, Mondelez. We are looking to finalize this package in the month of April, so that means finalizing the price and finalizing the contractor. The fourth package will be from the Republic Bank roundabout, or the Sugar Mill roundabout as it's probably more commonly known, to Burns Point. So that's essentially the Grand Dance Main Road. We are working on finalizing this package as well. I should quickly mention the Granitang reinstatement and road widening project. We had paused work on this because of the Nawasa G Cruise project, because obviously pipelaying was taking place. That is well on the way now. So reinstatement of the road is taking place pursuant to the G Cruise project, and we expect the road widening to continue in the second quarter of 2026. Just briefly, we also intend to focus on many of the roads where we will continue to do significant road maintenance in light of the obviously the fact that we're still in the dry season, and the rainy season will commence traditionally in July. So we are hoping to take advantage as much as we can of the dry period to do as much preparatory work as we can for some of the main roads, including the Eastern and Western Main Road, the Grenville to Tivoli Road, and the tongue of Grenville, and then from Mount Moritz to the Seoul plant, as well as other secondary roads. As you are aware, we received the pothole patcher truck. Training was conducted by the representatives of the vendor who sold the truck to us, and the truck is out today patching holes. So if you can catch it, I'm sure the public would be happy to see it in action. I'll do a quick update on some of the bridges. The Marquee Bridge, we have to install a temporary bypass bridge before we commence work on the bridge, because unfortunately there is no alternative route that the public can use. So we are expecting, the bridge has been procured, that's the temporary bypass bridge. Installation should happen within the next 2 to 3 months, and we expect construction should also start by June of 2026. The bridges in St. Patrick, Montfendu, Mountrich, these are expected to commence in the latter part of 2026, because as we've said, we can't do all of the bridges at the same time in St. Patrick's because of traffic diversion that we need to put in place in order to be able to do so successfully. I will just give a quick update on the police stations. Bills of quantities and designs have been completed to rehabilitate the St. David's police station. The next stage is for these tendering to happen so that contractors can bid, and then we hope construction can commence in either the latter part of the second quarter, which is June, or the first part of the third quarter, July. Grenville Police Station, we are hoping to demolish the old Grenville Police Station by June of 2026. And in relation to the Victoria Police Station, the work is almost complete. I think what is left to do is to install industrial toilets that have been procured and are now on island. Union Police Station, a contractor has been selected following a bidding process, and we expect work to commence this month. The cost of the renovation is estimated at $1.3 million for Union. Quickly to our schools, Tivoli RC School and Phillies Government School, both schools, the renovation work is ongoing. It is within budget and on time. The Florida Government School, work has just commenced. The contractor is Kenny's Trucking and Equipment Services. St. Giles Anglican Primary School, these students have been relocated at the Holy Cross RC School in Munich. The design for St. Giles is now complete, and we expect to go to the next stage of tendering on the public procurement website so that contractors can bid. We have at least another month, so we want to again encourage contractors to go to the procurement website to look at the bid documents, to prepare their bids, and to submit. The bid deadline is the 1st of May 2026. Grenadian Christian Academy, work is ongoing there, and we expect the school should be ready in time for the opening of the 2026-2027 school year, which is September. So I want to thank, this is just a broad overview of some of the actual projects that are ongoing. Before I ask for questions, I also want to commend the team at the Ministry of Infrastructure and CTU in particular, because they also played a critical role in ensuring that the groundbreaking for the Project Polaris hospital site could have occurred last week, Friday. So I want to thank the Ministry of Infrastructure and the team for the work, and to thank the PS and the staff again for the hard work that is taking place at the Ministry of Infrastructure. It is the one ministry that features in almost everything that the government has to do, from roads to bridges to buildings. The scope is wide, it's extensive, it's intensive, and the work never stops. But we are committed to being as transparent as we can and to updating the public on what is taking place, what are our challenges, and what are the solutions that we are pursuing to overcome them. In recent times, we have retained significantly more human resource at the ministry, particularly on the technical side, to help us. We will certainly be engaging a lot more with the public. We intend to build out the website of the Ministry of Infrastructure so that we can post the procurement notices, we can post the tender documents, we can provide updates, and we can have a complaints desk where members of the public can bring matters to our attention so that we are in a position to respond to them. So thank you very much, and unless PS or CTO wishes to add anything further, we're happy to have your questions.
I think you covered it. Okay. Take questions.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for your very comprehensive updates. We do have some media representatives in-house with us this morning, and we want to take their questions at this time.
I think for the record, we will share an electronic copy of the updates that have been provided so that it's easier for members of the media to follow, and to, when we have the next update, be able to track our progress.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here. My name is Shania McIntosh, and I am representing the Media Broadcasting Network. So the first question I have is for the Chief Technical Officer, Mr. Jimmy Andrews. It's concerning the river road, with what is happening now with the blockage and the fishes and stuff like that. A statement was released concerning, looking at the problem yesterday. So I would like to know if anything is being done.
Well, regards to it, the Ministry of Health is still conducting the investigation. We would have also mobilized a contractor yesterday. He would start at the river mouth. Actually, he did start yesterday at the river mouth. He's going to open it. Today they're going to move further along, closer to the Humpback Bridge, to start removing some of the dead fish from the water. And the algae as well, and lilies here.
Thank you, Ms. McIntosh. MTV, you have any questions at this time? A very comprehensive report, Prime Minister and team at the Ministry of Infrastructure. Just to reiterate, the communities affected, could you reiterate what's happening with the communities? I know in Constantine especially, how are they dealing with the... Willis, sorry.
Good morning to listeners and viewers. Workers, as the PM has said, workers commenced on the Willis Road Rehabilitation Project, and consultations have been ongoing even before the recommencement of the work with the residents, mainly led by the MP for the area, Honorable Redhead, and so they're all aware. We are currently dealing with some of the landowners whose properties were affected by that. So we are in touch with all of them to ensure that they are properly compensated, surveys are properly done, and we have no outstanding issues to delay the project further.
Thank you. I open the floor one last time for members of the media to intervene.
So this question I have, it's for our Prime Minister. It's concerning the tongue of St. George. Like, there's a lot of deterioration in the tongue of St. George. A lot of the slabs is raising up, a lot of holes all over the place. Will anything be done about that?
Well, certainly. I think that's what we said. We intend to focus. Well, I think there are a couple of things we need to recognize. One, pipe work will come all the way up to Sendell Tunnel in the tongue of St. George. So we kind of have to manage in such a way that we don't waste resources by starting repair work along that area, and then it has to be impacted by the pipe work and then the eventual renovation. So that's at least up to the Sendell tunnel from the lagoon all the way onto the Carinat side. There will be work taking place on that. As I said, we pointed the Woolwich Road, which we recognize as a major challenge, and it's one of the things that we'll address. Certainly in terms of downtown itself, I think maintenance of the slabs and the road is a part of what we will look at as well, and you'd see that some of this has been ongoing. For example, widening the Old Fort to Lucas Street entrance was done because of the bottleneck that it poses. But as I said, one of the main challenges we've had with asphalt work in particular is the lack of asphalt contractors, as well as the lack of asphalt itself, because the only quarry we have operating right now is the Mount Hartman quarry. We are making efforts to get the quarry and telescope reopened. Once that happens, I think it will give us greater capacity to be able to have asphalt, particularly hot mix on island, that will allow us to better repair the roads. We now have the pothole patcher, that should give us significantly better capacity to also address some of the potholes that we have had to encounter. But the truth is, the challenge with many of the urban areas, Grenville and St. George, is that the roads themselves have not been scraped and repaved. Well, certainly all my life. They've just been patched and patched and patched. And the challenge is that if the foundations, and CTU is better able to speak to this, is not done properly, then in a large extent you're wasting the asphalt, because 2 or 3 rainfalls and then we back right where we started. So this is part of the challenge we face. The second part is that the roads were not meant for the level of traffic and the weight and size of the vehicles that traverse our roads in general. I mean, St. George and Grenville in particular were designed in the days of horse and carriage. And so one of the challenges we face is that because of the sheer traffic level, the roads deteriorate a lot faster than is. The third part, which is a broader issue about rehabilitating the tongue of St. George itself. The tongue was designed as a place where people once lived. Most people have moved out from town. A lot of the buildings are clearly very historic, but the challenge with historic buildings is that you have to be able to maintain them properly. And that's one of the challenges we have. So there's a lot of private property that is derelict. There are significant government assets as well that is in need of enormous capital redevelopment. Examples, the library, the financial complex, the forts. We are beginning to do this bit by bit, but it will take, frankly, a 10-year plan and probably $1 billion plus to be able to renovate the tongue of St. George over a period of time. We're committed to do it because we view it as one of the most beautiful cities in the world, and we want to be able to preserve that. So we are working with a group of stakeholders who have expressed interest, Grenadian architects, engineers, developers, to develop a Greater St. George's revitalization plan that will allow us to revitalize the entire tongue of St. George's in phases over a period of time, where we can begin to bring back life, so to speak, into the tongue of St. George and revitalize a lot of the historic buildings, at least the facade, but be able to work on it. So we are doing it bit by bit. You've seen we renovated the police station. The fort is being done. The Ministry of Culture, Tourism, Creative Affairs have bought the Priory. They have plans for renovating and rebuilding that building. So we will probably find one by one. It will take a while. But I think with the Greater St. George's revitalization project, once we have a master plan, then we can tackle them phase by phase, and the road network will therefore improve. There's work that's going to be done on the sewer lines and all of those. That is taking place right now as part of the projects. I think places like Green Street and so on, you can see that. So it's tough because we are dealing with decades of neglect, and we're not going to be able to change it overnight. But we have to plan properly and make sure that we can inform the public as to the stages we're at. The first thing would be to agree on the plan, which requires stakeholder consultation. The second will then be how we finance it. And then the third will actually be the actual construction and renovation works.
And just to add to what the PM said, in recent times we have replaced a significant amount of the grills, the defective grills around the St. George's, and we are continuing to do that.
It seems as though we have a shortage on asphalt contractors. Are we doing anything to fix that?
Yes, we are. That's why we invited contractors who could finance, design, and build. So we expect at least 3 additional contractors, maybe even a 4th one. Calco is one of the persons who we're working with. They're the ones currently paving, doing the work on the Penwater to Vincent's Road. Namalco, that's one of those that's been awarded the package from the Cliff to Westall Point and from Westall Point to Morris Bishop International Airport. So they are bringing in the asphalt plant. CIE or Renault, they've brought in the asphalt plant. And so they are bringing in the equipment, but the asphalt still requires aggregates, stones, and then bitumen. As I said, we only have 1 quarry, and that's why we are working on getting the second quarry up. The third alternative would be to allow them to import the aggregates if we do not have enough stone to be able to do the kind of work that is going to be required. So that's just part of the challenge. I think the bitumen issue probably could be dealt with a lot easier, but if we don't have the aggregates, then you're missing one of the key ingredients. So that is part of what we're working on, to get more capacity in terms of contractors, but also to support them in aggregates so that we can actually get the asphalts available.
Good morning. Lily Pascal, MTV. One question for Prime Minister. Can you please provide an update on the Balthazar Bridge in St. Andrew? Residents noted that initial works commenced, but question what can they expect during the first phase?
So I probably may have to ask CTO to help me with this. What I can say is that we had to relocate some of the persons who are living in the immediate vicinity of the bridge. That is underway and ongoing. I think the next phase has been a contractor from the bidding process was identified. The price that all of the contractors came in at, the bid price, was higher than the estimate that we had. And once that happens, then the government has to make decisions because the project is a World Bank project. And so if you have a financing gap, it basically means you don't have the money for the project. If the people are bidding to build the bridge, are all saying it will cost more than what we would have been able to budget for from the World Bank. So that required some discussions. There were negotiations with the contractor to try and get the price down. But ultimately, it still led to a situation where there's a gap between what the contractor says he can do the work for, and that's the approved contractor and the financing. So we've had to make a decision at the cabinet level to move financing from other aspects of the project, because the Balthazar project is not a single project. It was part of a package known as the GRIP, which involved shore stabilization and mitigating the erosion of the Marquis and Subi's coastal region as well. So in the interest of getting the Balthazar Bridge done, Cabinet has made the decision to reallocate some of the funding from one of those packages to Balthazar so that we can make the financing gap. And thereafter, we expect that the procurement process should proceed where the contractor is signed with the contractor and the contractor can mobilize. That's where I'm from what I call financing. I'm not sure if CTO wants to share anything further in terms of technical details as to what to expect when the construction commences.
So at the moment, the temporary bypass bridge is being constructed. That one is a pedestrian bridge. At this point in time, one of the abutments, I would say it's probably about 80%. The other is somewhere around 10 or 20%, between 10 to 20%. The temporary bypass itself is expected to be, the abutments is expected to be completed by the 12th of April, following which we would launch the actual bridge itself. That is the deck itself from there.
Right, thank you, Lily. There is a question from a sports journalist. Prime Minister, can you provide a timeline for the commencement and construction of the National Aquatic Center and the renovation of the Lassages playing field?
Right, so I'll probably let PS answer where we are, or CTO, on the Sports Aquatic Center. When I drove by the National Stadium on Saturday, it seemed to me that work had already commenced. But I'll let CTO give the specifics on this. Lassages, we have no timeline because we are still working on the design and what has to be done. The pavilion in Lassages is a challenge. It was built with used steel many years ago. It is slightly dangerous in terms of even walking to get to it. And the steel is perhaps significantly compromised. So we need the technical team to give us a full assessment as to whether the current pavilion can be renovated or whether it needs to be demolished. And if yes, what approach we take. So it is not, Lassages is one of the main fields. It is not going to be a small project, so to speak. So we still, I can't give a timeline for when that will happen as yet. But I can ask CTO to speak to the aquatic center.
So the main works actually would have commenced already by a local contractor, which comprises the base slab for the pool, along with some ancillary buildings and bleachers. I think sometime in July, a specialty subcontractor will come in to install the actual walls of the pool itself.
Right, thank you. We also have a question about the pothole patcher. How do we see this working? Can you give some clarification on how it's being used across the island?
Thank you. So I can take that. So we have recognized, I don't think we need to discuss too much the problem that we're having with efficient road maintenance. You find sometimes potholes appear and we get to them weeks after they appear. They get much larger. The traffic has increased exponentially on our roads, and so we had to change our mode of operation. You cannot keep doing the same thing over and over and expect to get different results. So we got the pothole patcher. This truck will be on our roads daily, yes, repairing potholes. Certainly this is going to improve efficiency and our response time in proper road maintenance. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, PS. I think we have 2 more questions from the media.
Good morning. My question is to the Prime Minister. I have 2 questions. The first has to do with closure. You said that the redesign is now complete, and so prior to the stoppage, there were consultations and residents were expecting a certain level of some sacrifices and so. Will it be the same contractor, and would we see another round of consultations to bring them up to speed with what this new design will entail and how it will affect the daily lives?
Sure. So yes, it's the same contractor because the work was paused in light of the unforeseen deterioration in the road conditions. So it's the same contractor. That's Fare's Construction, and that will continue. Certainly, I think we have no difficulty in providing updates to the residents in terms of what the new design will entail, the expected duration of the work, and the likely impact on them. I think we are hoping, and CTO could confirm, that obviously the work can take place while the residents are still able to traverse the area. But that's a technical decision, and you always have to. It always depends on the site conditions, which sometimes you don't have control over. But I'm not sure if CTO wants to add anything in terms of whether it will impact the actual ability to go past the road itself when the construction is taking place.
No, I mean, the intent is that the road still remains motorable during the construction phase. It might just mean that it would be reduced to a single lane, as work would, more or less be phased on one side, reinstating it, and then the other as well.
And part 2 has to do with the work that you mentioned for the Clifton Morris Bishop Highway, and you mentioned the Malco construction company out of Trinidad. I know in recent times there have been comments made in terms of shortage of skilled labor. Will these companies be coming with a workforce to complement what's here, or the majority of workers will be coming from the local market?
We would be encouraging that the majority of the workforce be from the local market. In instances where there are shortages, then there's a process which has to be followed, which is obviously a request to have permission to import labor and for work permits, etc., to be obtained. But at this stage, I don't have any particular request, and PS could perhaps shed further light on this as to whether the contractors have actually requested for any sort of significant importation of labor. We think if ever it will perhaps be more on the highly technical side, but we are optimistic, assuming it doesn't overheat, that we can fill the actual labor from the local market. But we do recognize that obviously, certainly come, I would say, the second quarter of 2024, come June, once the contractors are mobilized, that we are likely to see enormous construction work taking place, and there may be shortages of labor, because it's not just road work that is taking place. There's significant building, both in the private sector and in the public sector, taking place as well.
Okay. And the final question from online, given the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, has the government conducted any risk assessments on how global instability could affect Grenada's development projects? And finally, can you assure the public that despite these uncertainties, critical infrastructure projects will remain a national priority?
Well, I can answer the second one first. That's self-evident. I think, yes, critical infrastructure must remain a national priority, because if not, then the country essentially will grind to a halt. If the roads are not repaired, if the bridges are not made safe, then effectively you affect people's basic right to even move. So that remains a national priority. We are constantly scanning the world to look at the risks that are posed to Grenada's development, Grenada's cohesion, and Grenada's economic and social stability. In fact, I think as an administration, you could probably say everything that could happen to an administration in the last 3.5 years has happened. We've had to deal with wars, multiple wars. We've had to do with coming out of the COVID pandemic. We've had to deal with hurricanes. We'd have to deal with geopolitical, regional tensions. We've had to deal with tariffs, trade embargoes, you name it. So we accept that stability. World stability is just not something we have any control over, and it seems as if the world is actually likely to become more unstable than stable. So we are constantly monitoring this. There are a number of things that that we have in place. I think, first of all, fiscal prudence and responsibility is one of the critical things As you understand, we have a fiscal framework that is mandated in law that we are required to follow. Part of that fiscal framework is also ensuring that we set aside monies for rainy days, whether they're natural disasters, whether they're for economic shocks, ensuring that we also mitigate risk by having things like our catastrophic risk insurance. So those things are ongoing, and we continue to manage well. It's also important for us to improve our tax collection, because as much as people don't like paying taxes, the reality is the government is funded, the state is funded from the shared commitment of the taxpayers. So improving our tax collection efficiency, making sure that people can pay their taxes online, for example. Simple tools like this has actually led to significant increases in tax collection efficiency. And we have to continue modernizing and improving our tax base and constantly reviewing our tax model. The citizenship by investment programs is part of our revenue base as well. So that is part of what we are looking and working at. But as it pertains to the impact on the public, we are monitoring this. Obviously, fuel is a major challenge. Gas prices have gone up, certainly for the 100-pound cylinder, by as much as $60. For the record, the 40-pound cylinder has gone up as well. The government continues to subsidize this as much as by $20+ for every cylinder. So every time you pay $40 for a cylinder of gas, the government is paying the next $20.63. And so the public has to understand that. We are subsidizing electricity costs for anyone who consumes up to 99 kilowatt hours. There's a $10 rebate that goes to GreenLink that the government is paying for. We've zero-rated a long list of items from the time we came into office, where no VAT is paid, so that we can keep the prices down. So we continue to monitor. If the gas prices, we have a standing policy. If fuel goes above $17 at the pump, the government will seek to subsidize it and cushion the effect on the public. But obviously, given the fact that we need the resources to do all of the infrastructure work that we've put out here, we have to be very prudent in not jumping to subsidize things simply because there's an increase in price, because in doing so it means there's less revenue for the infrastructure work that we require, and that is ongoing. So we will continue to monitor the situation. We believe, we are optimistic, notwithstanding what is happening in places like the Middle East and Ukraine. We believe in diplomacy. We certainly believe that many countries around the world believe in diplomacy, and we're hoping that greater diplomatic efforts can be brought to de-escalate the wars and the tensions, de-escalate the rhetoric, and hopefully bring the international community back to a place where we spend more time on dialogue and diplomacy and resolving conflicts rather than wars and fighting. But because we don't have control over those things, we have to be prudent in Grenada in terms of how we manage the fiscal position.
Thank you, Prime Minister. I believe we have exhausted all our questions for this morning. I want to thank you so much for joining us wherever you are across Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique, and of course, those of you listening in the diaspora. Thank you for joining us this morning. I open the floor for final comments, if there are any from the head table.
Yes, I have two final comments not related to infrastructure, but as I have the opportunity of the public's attention and the press, I want to take the opportunity on behalf of the government and people of Grenada to express our profound condolences first to the government and people of Suriname. President Santokhi, I got the news yesterday that he passed away. He is the immediate past president of Suriname. In fact, my first regional trip after becoming Prime Minister was to Suriname at the CARICOM Heads of Conference in Suriname when he chaired CARICOM. He was always a very warm, gracious, respectable head of state, and in my role in my view, did significant work in ensuring that Suriname, which is part of the Caribbean but on the continent of South America, became an integral and a focal part of CARICOM. So I want to thank him for the leadership he provided within CARICOM, for solidifying regional unity, and for certainly being a warm and gracious host to me whenever our paths crossed. I think he would be deeply missed, and so we express our condolences to his immediate family, to the current president, government, and people of Suriname, and may he rest in peace. Second, I also want to take the opportunity to express deepest condolences to the family of the late Dr. Roland Purcell. Dr. Roland Purcell was a Grenadian doctor in the New York diaspora who probably is as famous as any doctor you can find for his huge heart, his unrelenting work ethic, and his commitment to helping Grenadians who needed medical assistance. I think anyone who encountered Dr. Purcell will speak not just about his technical acumen as a doctor, but how he went out of his way as a human being to reassure his patients, to check in on them, to follow up with them. His death came, I think, obviously as a major shock to all of us, and we want to let his family know that we certainly appreciate the tremendous service he rendered to Grenada, even though he spent a lot of his time practicing in the New York area. And we want to express our condolences again to his family, and may his soul rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you for being part of the Heartbeat today, and join us again next Sunday when we have another equally interesting and stimulating program to share with you. So thank you again, and see you next week, Sunday. Have a great Sunday afternoon. Goodbye now.